Hey there, Plotheads. Just a quick little piece of info for you before episode 2 of the podcast begins here momentarily. We had a bit of a technical issue, as most podcasts do starting out. We had a bit of a microphone problem that we weren't aware of until we were done filming or recording the entire thing. So you're going to notice probably that Patrick's audio sounds a little bit quieter than mine. Just wanted to let you know that this is obviously just a temporary thing. Every episode isn't going to sound like this, but hopefully you're able to hear everything clearly enough for this 1 week, and next week we'll, iron out all those glitches and issues and hopefully have a much more crisp and, nice sounding podcast for you. So, with that being said, hopefully what we've put together for you for episode 2 sounds, like I said, good enough, and you're able to hear everything being said, because I think we had a pretty good discussion about Glass Onion and our top 5 murder mystery movies. So, again, next week we'll make sure that all those issues are taken care of when we record for A Man Called Otto and our top 5 favorite Tom Hanks movies. Until then, I hope you all like episode 2. Thank you all for listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome on into episode 2 of the Plotheads podcast. I am your host. My name is Tyler Spots. I am a English teacher and film lover here in the wonderful state that I live in. You don't get to know. And joined by me today is my dear friend and also film fan, Patrick Day. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I don't. You're saying it like you're a guest. You're not a guest. You're the co-host. So you don't have to say that every time. Well, welcome in. This is your first episode, so I guess tell the listeners out there a little bit about yourself so they know who the heck they're listening to.
I am a 29-year-old architect from Wisconsin.
Oh.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Don't try to find me.
Okay, yeah. They're going to struggle if they go to Wisconsin. I don't think they're going to be very successful. So, since we're in a film podcast here, what's your favorite film?
I think my favorite film is Interstellar.
Really? The one that we saw in college, and you said that you didn't like to mess with me because you knew that I was excited.
Oh my, I forgot about that. Yeah, like everyone with us agreed to be like, wow, that movie sucked ass. So then you would freak out. And you did. Because everyone was like, this movie sucks ass.
I wouldn't say I freaked out.
You were like, what the hell is happening?
Well,
no, that's my favorite movie.
I thought y'all were having a momentary poor opinion. But no, it was all just a joke. Why is that your favorite movie exactly? I didn't know this until just now.
I like space movies. It's a lot like 2001: A Space Odyssey. And the score by Hans Zimmer is the shit. So
it is. I like the organ.
Every 10 seconds, yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. That is a good one. My favorite movie used to be Inception. So clearly we're a Christopher Nolan bunch here.
Absolutely.
It's not mine anymore. It's been usurped by a lot. But he is still a great filmmaker. Oppenheimer is my most anticipated of this year.
The question is, was your decision to change the movie influenced by Inception?
Like someone planted an idea in my head to make it not my favorite movie anymore?
Someone inceptioned you out of liking Inception.
Well, that would be ironic. But no, I don't think that that's what it was.
Oh, agree to disagree.
Okay, if you insist. All right, so we are here today to actually discuss a movie that you've probably seen because it's been out for a while now, and it's like breaking all the Netflix records, it seems. Since it is a streaming only on Netflix movie for some unknown reason. Well, it is known. It's because Rian Johnson wanted to make a lot of money, guaranteed, in a time in film where we're not exactly sure if making a movie and putting it into theaters is a guaranteed chance or guaranteed, opportunity for success. I mean, it never is, but especially now with, post-COVID and all that stuff and movies not being as, big of a market as they used to be, people preferring to stay at home. He said, why don't I just make a big-ass paycheck with this Glass Onion movie, and I will just give the rights to Netflix, they can distribute it, and I get hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's why he did it. But I'm not exactly sure I'm on board with the whole just go right to Netflix for the sequels, because it does seem like there's going to be more. Wouldn't you say after seeing this, there's probably going to be more?
I'm not so sure. I kind of wish they would make a TV show and just do like a total spin-off and just make it like a serialized thing. So like 1 hour episodes, kind of like Sherlock, but less.
Or Murder, She Wrote.
Or Murder, She Wrote.
A fan favorite of Patrick's here.
It is the shit. My mom and I used to watch that a lot growing up. That was like the best.
So you would do it like without Daniel Craig?
No, with Daniel Craig.
Oh, so 1 hour episodes, a different mystery with Daniel Craig.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. But is that not what they're kind of doing right now? Just with movies?
I mean, it's like 2 hour movies, but like if you have a season, you could binge it and have like 8 episodes or whatever.
Okay, so you would prefer that
Smaller,
so that way...
confined movies.
I see.
Episodes.
Yes. So you're honestly even getting more that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because we are, if you haven't been able to tell, fans of this movie. We did enjoy it. I'm just not a big fan, like I said, of how it was distributed. I'm hoping that'll change. But anyway, yeah, so we're talking about Glass Onion, specifically Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. Rian Johnson, director, writer, said he doesn't like the fact that it's called Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, so we'll just refer to it as Glass Onion for the foreseeable future. He does not like that it has a tie to Knives Out in the title.
Did he want Knives Out to be in the beginning, or do you just want it to be its own thing?
He wanted it to not have Knives Out in the title at all and just have it be its own thing.
Well, what the fuck's he thinking? No one's going to go see a movie called Glass Onion just by itself.
True. And I got to imagine as the writer-director, he probably had a say in what the movie was called in the first place. So my thought was, why did you name it a Knives Out Mystery if you had such an issue with that?
Yeah,
but
really weird.
Whatever, that's what he wanted to do. And it seems to have worked because it was, like I just said, very popular. I think it's still the #1 movie on Netflix. Not that there's really, I don't think, too much competition out there. Something new just did drop on Netflix, but I don't think it was a movie. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still the #1 movie. It's doing very well. Has an all-star cast. Daniel Craig returning as Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc.
And who else we have in this one? We have, of course, since it's, kind of a serialized thing, we have a whole new cast other than Daniel Craig. So we've got Ed Norton.
We got Bautista.
Got Dave Bautista. We got Kate Hudson in her first movie in years from what I can remember. We have, let's see. Catherine Hahn. She's in this one.
Is that Bautista's lady friend?
No, Catherine Hahn is the woman from WandaVision and Step Brothers. Yes. Yeah. So she's in this. Kind of listing the cast right now, I guess getting into our non-spoiler thoughts on the movie. We will have a spoiler section. My biggest issue with the movie, not to start off negative, is that supporting cast I'm struggling to remember while I'm sitting here after having seen the film and done plenty of kind of research on it. I found the supporting characters in this sequel to not be up to par from the first film, and it's, why are you comparing it to the first movie? Let it be its own thing. Well, it's a direct sequel in a way, so it's like, how do you not compare it? And I hold that first one in such a high regard. So the side characters, I didn't think were that great in this. I'll kind of get more in detail about that in the spoilers, but seeing it the first time, I was a bit disappointed in that regard. Luckily, Daniel Craig is so good that it makes up for the faults of the other characters. I'm willing to just sacrifice the side characters to have Daniel Craig being as fun as he is. What did you think, Patrick?
I think you're right, and I didn't really realize it until just now. I can't name anybody's name except for Benoit Blanc. Like, I could say like the actor's name, but I can't name off who the characters were.
And that was my issue with them, is that none of them really felt like they had personalities of their own. They were all just a collective, like, we are friends with Edward Norton. Miles Braun, I think, was his name. And we're here to hang out at the Glass Onion, which is the name of his house, if you were wondering. I was wondering that the whole time that this movie was being advertised. What in the world is the Glass Onion? Which I guess is a good, marketing strategy in itself. It is a mystery after all. But I was like, what in the world is the Glass Onion? That's his house. So they all come to his house and hang out for the weekend. And then, of course, as we know, murders start to occur. And good thing we have Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc, basically a modern-day Hercule Poirot from Agatha Christie's stories, here to solve the case. So... he steals every scene he's in, obviously. The one supporting player I have to give kudos to and thought was fantastic was Janelle Monáe, as I believe her name was Andy. She has a very interesting role in the film that as you progress through it, you learn more and more about that character, and her performance requires a lot from her when you find out exactly what's going on, and I thought she did a great job. So, Patrick, what did you think on that matter?
I think we'll have to get into that a little bit more in the spoiler section, but there were some character choices made with her that were a little questionable, in my opinion.
But you can't talk about them right now.
I can't talk about
it. It is kind of hard to talk about a murder mystery movie without spoiling things too much.
I will say, one of the coolest things about Glass Onion was how it subverted your expectations. You went into it thinking it would be just like Knives Out, some really complicated plot that you had to unravel. Even the name suggests that is going to be the case. Like an onion, you peel back the layers, but it's a glass onion. You see straight through to the middle. I thought that was the most clever thing, and we'll talk about that more later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did think that the overall mystery, similar to what they do in Knives Out. I guess spoilers for Knives Out, a movie that is 5 years old at this point, or maybe 4 years old, but. Chances are, if you wanted to see, I think it came out in 2019.
That's crazy.
But chances are, if you've seen it at this, or you haven't seen it, it's probably because you don't care. So, I guess spoilers for that movie. The fact that Rian Johnson, as a writer, continues to find these unique ways to make a murder mystery in an inventive and new way. Because murder mysteries, you think, okay, someone's going to die at the beginning. You're going to follow the investigator as he gets clues and finds clues and interrogates people. And then at the end, someone's going to go, I did it. But why? Why did you do such a thing? And then, you have the Scooby-Doo, I'm going to explain my whole plan and why I did what I did. The movie's over. I feel like Rian Johnson's writing style is consistently I'm going to subvert expectations of what a murder mystery is. And this is going to be in Knives Out, I'm going to tell you who committed the quote-unquote murder 30 minutes into my movie.
And that is exactly why he should have never directed a Star Wars movie.
Why is that?
Because no one wants their expectations subverted that much in a Star Wars movie. They just want the damn plot to be what it should be.
Oh.
But anyway, that's a different conversation.
He definitely didn't make my favorite Star Wars movie, but... after seeing that episode 9, I respect Last Jedi immensely more than I did when I first saw it. That last one was a turd.
It was pretty bad.
So I at least respect him for taking a swing, even though it was mostly a miss.
I have to be honest, I was really disappointed with how short the theater runtime was. Just a week. That was just so lame.
Yeah, so that was part of the deal, as he said, that you could only have it for... or Netflix said theaters can only have it for 1 week. So I was able to catch it when it was out in theaters. It was out in theaters the week of Thanksgiving. So me and Taylor were able to get to a theater at one point and catch it in theaters. It was a fun experience. You got to hear in the gasps and things from the audience as things were unraveled and discovered and stuff like that. Only one annoying person in the theater, and that's something that, of course, I'm sure you as listeners will hear a lot about, is us bitching about people who won't shut up in a movie and things like that, because that's one of our whole collective pet peeves, I'm sure. I don't want to speak for you, Patrick, but I think that you would agree.
It doesn't bother me as much now.
What?
I think having a kid, it's like the constant distraction 24/7. It's like you're able to tune it out a little bit better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you are the father of the group. Taylor and I are cat parents, so yeah, we can't relate to that. So we're still used to watching films in silence in our homes and things like that. And so when we go to theaters and people ruin it for us, we're like, you can talk on your couch at home. Why are you paying money to be here? But that's besides the point. It wasn't too terrible at the Glass Onion screening. So anyway, I think it's safe to say that we both enjoyed this. So I think that since we are going to do spoiler talk, it's kind of a chance for people to tune out if they don't want to hear more. I guess we should probably, at this point, before we do that, say what our rating system is, and B, what we would give this film. So I think it would be fun to just kind of do our own rating system. So whatever you are a fan of in terms of scale, you do yours, and then I'll have my own. And, if we have the same ones, so be it. But, at least that way it'll, we know best what our scale is in terms of what we would rank a movie. So why don't we do that?
That sounds good. I think my rating will be grades, like in school. I would give it a solid A.
And pluses are involved in this, and minuses?
Yeah, pluses and minuses. I would give it a solid A.
Okay.
I don't think... So I guess like a 9 out of 10, really. We can get down to it. But
okay. What's your take? What are you taking off for?
I think it just wasn't as good as the first one. Like, it was excellent and deserving of an A, but just all around wasn't as good in every category, I guess. Like the acting was really good, of course, but the characters just weren't quite as good. The story wasn't quite as bombastic or groundbreaking, I guess. So. And
that's holding Knives Out to the standard of what, 10 out of 10 probably for you, A+? Okay.
Like, relatively speaking, like Knives Out's just like the perfect movie. I just love it.
Right.
It's fantastic.
And as far as sequels go, I mean, even though, this wasn't as good, it's still in the upper echelon of second films in a series, because it's rarely that it comes close. There's the few, rarities where the sequel's even better, but having one that even is close to the original, pat yourself on the back. You did well.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I think if I'm more of a, points out of 10, or stars, whatever you want to call it. I guess for this one, I'd go solid 7.5 out of 10 would probably be mine. I love Daniel Craig. I think he did a great job. I love that character. I'll watch anything he's in. And I thought Ed Norton was a really compelling character, along with, like I said, Janelle Monáe's performance. I thought his Rian Johnson's script was sharp and witty, and always kind of had a new surprise. Even though a couple were a little predictable, there were a few. Taylor sitting next to me in the theater, leaned over and was like, well, I was about to say what she said. I can't tell you. We're in the non-spoiler section. But she called something very early on, which I'll tell you in a minute. So anyway, Rian Johnson's script, fantastic. I love his writing style. And it's really just those side characters that aren't Norton and Monet that kind of held the film back. And they're actors I really enjoy. Leslie Odom Jr. in particular, he's Aaron Burr. He in Hamilton, my favorite musical, probably everyone's favorite musical at this point. But they were just so one note, and they were just kind of they faded into the background very easily and very early on into the movie. And they really held it back from being as great of a film as I thought Knives Out was, with the Thrombey family, everyone standing out in that first one. You had Chris Evans, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon. They were all fantastic. That wasn't the case with this one, but still an excellent second film in the series.
In its defense, though, I feel like they played more characters like in Clue, the board game. Like, they're playing like a character of a character. But like in Knives Out, they're more real people with different attributes. Like, I think they leaned more into the archetype in this movie.
I think so. And maybe that's my issue, is because usually when something's described as archetypal or an archetype, it usually implies that it's kind of stale and done often. Yeah. So maybe that's why I had an issue with it. Yeah, one-dimensional, one note. But yeah, and I think that he kind of, Rian Johnson, that is, has something going here where it's like, I'm just going to make every character that's a side character equally horrible and unlikable as a human. That seems to be kind of his MO lately, is you have, Daniel Craig, you have one side character who's a really good person, and then everyone else is a jackass. So We are going to take a quick break. We're going to play the theme music. We're going to do a spoiler section after this. So if you've seen the film and you want to stick around and you want to hear more about what we thought kind of in depth, then please come back. And after the spoiler section, we will get into our lists of our top 5 favorite murder mystery movies. We'll see y'all in a minute. All right, we're back with the spoiler section for Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. Patrick, I'm going to throw it to you. What's something that you couldn't talk about in our non-spoilers that we were trying to be real vague about?
What the fuck was up with her accent? Monet's accent when she was playing, or like when she was her sister the whole time. Like the big twist. And she was like,
so the big twist
I'm
is...
from Alabama, but they're supposed to be twins. So why in the hell would one have an Alabama accent and the other would just be completely normal?
That is a good point. So the big twist, of course, or one of the big twists, is that Janelle Monáe's character, Andy, the former best friend and CEO of Miles Braun's company, was killed by an apparent suicide that you kind of unravel more about. And then it turns out, like, well, then how is she at this party? How is she at this weekend gathering? Well, it turns out she has a twin sister that hired Benoit Blanc to go to the Glass Onion and find out information about Miles Braun's company to try and take him down. Specifically, a napkin was the object of the search that had the kind of like code for the what was that? What was it called? That little like...
It was the business plan.
No, but it was the plan on how to make that thing too. That she throws.
No, the napkin was just the business plan for the company.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to establish who had the idea for the company and who should be like the stakeholder.
That's right. It's like a Dwight Schrute thing, like my idea.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a copyright type deal.
Right. So, but she did have a lot to do with the like co-creation of.
Yeah, and she like vetoed the hydrogen. It was like solidified hydrogen.
Right, because she knew it was dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what was it clear?
Yeah, it was like clear with a K.
Yeah, with a K. That's right. That's right. That's so like modern and hip of
So hip.
Miles Braun. So that's the big twist. So I personally didn't really care too much about the accent. I figured it was just clearly like a creative choice to try and differentiate between the two characters.
It was just so
distracting.
You knew? Like, I just could not understand. I don't know. It just came out of nowhere.
I mean, perhaps they were parent trapped.
They could have been parent trapped, and they just didn't bring that up.
Right.
One grew up in Alabama, another grew up in like New York City.
In your defense, they never once explained that. I just figured, hey, it's one person playing two characters. We got to differentiate them somehow. So let's have this fake Southern accent, which did bother Taylor. Taylor's kind of my go-to person of, is that Southern accent good? You just ask Taylor. As someone who grew up in the South all her life, she's usually the one that can tell you if it's good or bad. We Northerners here, sometimes I feel like aren't the best judges of it. I especially am not. So I just go, hey, Taylor, was it good? And if she says yes, I know it was good.
Yeah, it's just really weird. Like, whenever you try to do like a fake accent, like, everyone can tell when it's a fake accent. And it just has to fit like your demographic too. It just doesn't make
Well, especially when it's someone, like that's been in the stuff before.
Yeah.
She was in Hidden Figures. That was a pretty huge movie. And she's a popular music artist as well. I don't know any of her music, but I know she's got a pretty big following there too.
I feel like, generally speaking, unless the actor is British, they're going to have a hard time pulling off the accent. And I don't know why that is. It's just that British people are really good at doing like American accents.
Unless you're Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, yeah, true.
He's gotten better. But his Doctor Strange accent in that first movie is awful.
Have you seen the video of Benedict Cumberbatch talking about penguins?
Yeah, penguin.
He says penguin, and then he says pengling. Like, he just, all these wacky pronunciations of penguin.
Yeah, he's a charming fella.
Like, what in the hell?
That helps. I feel like that helps with his charm. All right, so one thing I wanted to talk about, and I almost spoiled the scene at one point that I just thought was fantastic and just a nice little nod, and is when we were talking about Murder, She Wrote, we brought that up. There is a scene in the beginning that very quickly made its way around Twitter that I found just delightful with Benoit Blanc. I think it's his first scene in the whole movie, actually. He's in the bathtub, and he's on Skype or Zoom. It's Zoom because this is set during COVID, which we'll talk about in a minute. And so he's on Zoom with Stephen Sondheim and Angela Lansbury.
There's some other names in there, but I'm blanking.
Yeah, there was one other one. What stood out to me, what made those two stand out to me is that they passed away at this point. So they're both, Stephen Sondheim died at least a year ago, and I can't remember when Lansbury died, but they're both dead at this point.
I didn't know she died.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so clearly this movie was shot a long time ago, and it's just now coming out. You can tell from that nice little cameo from them. What are they playing? What's that? Among Us.
Oh, they were playing Among Us.
Yeah, because he didn't get the game, and he's a detective.
Yeah,
he should be really good at that. But yeah, I thought that was a nice scene, and it's kind of bittersweet at this point since both of them are dead. Especially Sondheim making my favorite musicals, and that was a big one.
Did that scene stress you out? Like the whole time I was stressed out because he had like books and shit around the bathtub, and then he was playing on his laptop.
Like his laptop was going to fall in the
bathtub. And I'm like,
shock him to death or something.
Your books. You're going to ruin your books.
Yeah,
you're going to get your laptop all messed up. Like, oh man.
Yeah, I have read in the tub before, and I choose not to do that because.
But you have to turn the page, and your hands are all wet.
Well, exactly. It was just it didn't work out. It made the book all like warped.
You got to get a Kindle.
I don't like e-readers. No, thank you.
I like the e-readers.
So what did you think of, like, because one thing that stood out to me throughout the whole movie, I was like, where are they going with this? Is the Mona Lisa subplot?
Yeah, I didn't understand. Like, I thought there was going to be some significance to the shutter mechanism that was going like up and down whenever there's a loud noise. I thought like surely it's going to go up and like cut off someone's arm or something wacky like that, but it just never happened. Like, did I miss something there? Was something intended to be special there besides the ending sequence?
Yeah, I think it was just that, like, Miles Braun was obsessed with being known for something great. Like, he wanted to be like the most famous person and the most well-known person, and he was all about himself and things like that, and that's why he even like has the Mona Lisa. He's showing it off. He's like, look how great I am. So it's like now, though, by the end of the movie, he'll always be known not as the creator of this business, but the guy who literally fucking ruined the Mona Lisa.
But they could have achieved the same thing by just not having that weird, like, sound detected mechanism to protect the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I guess that was for, like, I don't know, so that I can't remember the twin sister's name, the character, so we'll just say Janelle Monáe. When she, like, doesn't she purposefully
she
flip it open at the end so that it engulfs in flames?
But she also could have just like thrown like a Molotov or something at a bare Mona Lisa, which is why I was so confused. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, part of me wonders if all the sounds were just to like kind of heighten the tension in the moment. Like it just kept like, it was like a fake out thing. Like, what should you be worried about?
It definitely faked me out if that's the case. Because the whole time I was like, where's this going to come in? Like, how special is this going to be? And it just didn't happen.
And two, wasn't that during the scene where Batista ends up drinking the wrong drink and dying? Because that might be, you're looking at the Mona Lisa, you're looking at all these things. You miss the fact that he takes Edward Norton's drink off the table and ends up dead a couple minutes later. So it's just like, avert your eyes, look at this thing over here.
And maybe that was the purpose, because I definitely missed that detail.
Yeah, that's the one that Taylor leaned over and was like, isn't he allergic to pineapple? So they set that up earlier in the movie. He's like, oh, there's no pineapple in that drink, right? And I completely forgot. I'm terrible.
I completely missed that too.
Yeah, I'm terrible at predicting things in general. People will say, like, this was the most predictable movie ever. And I was like, well, I didn't know that was going to happen. I'm horrible at that. But yeah, Taylor remembered almost immediately after Batista died. She's like, it's the pineapple. I was like, and I kind of was holding it against the movie for a minute. I was like, man, she did that really fast. But I guess, it's not the movie's fault. There's like 15 other surprises. So, I mean, if that one you got that one quick, I mean, you probably didn't get the other ones.
I feel like these murder mystery movies, like, if you go into them looking for things, it's going to be easy to find the little, like, what's the word? It's like the something gun. Like, if there's a gun in a movie, it's going to be used. It's like a plot device. Anyways, I feel like if you look for those, they're easy to find. But if you go into it not expecting to see them, it's a lot more fun. And that's how we went.
Right. I don't watch movies to figure them out.
Yeah,
I watch movies to go along for the ride.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are like Benoit Blanc, like when they're at the table and he's like, oh, there's going to be an arrow that shoots out from over there. And then he traces everything in that moment and ruins the murder party for everyone.
Oh, that was the best.
Yeah.
It's Chekhov's gun, by the way. That was bugging the shit out of me. It's like a rule in books and other narrative mediums where if you have a gun on like a wall or it's like brought attention to, it's going to be used at some point.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't like to try and decipher what's going to happen in the moment. I mean, I know that's kind of what you're supposed to do in a murder mystery, but I don't know. I like the surprises and things like that. I'm kind of one of two extremes. I like to know everything that's going to happen before I watch something, or I like to go in completely blind. So
that's fair.
Yeah. So what'd you think of all the COVID stuff?
The COVID shit pissed me off.
Why?
I'm just so sick of seeing like face masks and stuff in TV shows from that time period and movies. I'm like, dude, I live that shit in real life. I don't want to see that in movies.
Right. I kind of felt the same way at first. It was almost like, this was, thought we were kind of past referencing this at this point. I mean, obviously,
I guess that makes sense from when it was filmed.
Right. I mean, obviously, COVID's still a thing. It's still going around. It's still harming people, yada, yada. And that's unfortunate. But we're past the point where, you walk around and all you see is masks and things like that. And, it was kind of nice to get back to a sense of normalcy in a way. So it was jarring to...
Jarring is a good word for it. It was just really weird. Like, where did this come from?
Right. Although the COVID stuff did give us one of the best cameos in the whole movie. Do you remember what it is?
I don't.
Where the basically like the whole way that they can walk around without masks at the Glass Onion is they get like a spray put in their mouths.
In their throat. Who gave them the spray? I don't remember.
You know who that was? It was Ethan Hawke.
Oh, that's right. It was Ethan Hawke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot because of what's her face, the ditzy chick. She was her mask was like lace, like it wasn't.
Oh,
mask.
yeah,
it was just
Kate
completely
Hudson,
like transparent. Kate Hudson, yeah. That was one of my favorite scenes. It's like, oh, that's funny.
Right. Yeah, when Ethan Hawke popped up, I was like, oh boy, I didn't know he was in this. I was so excited, and then he just never comes back.
I also like the reference to, it was like, oh, if you're rich enough, you're going to have some magical cure that just instantly makes you immune to COVID. I'm like, yeah, sounds about right.
Right. Yeah, I guess we should talk about that too. This is totally just a dig at Elon Musk, correct?
I hope so. Or Zuckerberg.
Or is that? Yeah, I guess just any CEOs. Absurdly rich person. But I will say the thing about Zuckerberg that I think is different, he's really smart.
True. I really don't... I can't tell if Elon Musk is smart or just a giant dumbass.
Right.
Who's really rich.
Yeah, because the whole running gag in the movie, and it was. I noticed it at one point. I can't remember the exact line.
The abbreviate line.
Where he said,
I was like, "Is that a fucking word?"
Ed Norton says something where I'm like, "That did they just not catch that?"
The moment.
Right. Yeah. I was like, did they just not catch that in the edit? That he totally flubbed a word, and
that's what I thought too. I was like, what was that?
Yeah, it came about at the end that he's been saying things wrong on purpose because one of the big plot twister reveals is, as he said, Benoit Blanc says, Miles Braun is an idiot. So I thought that was really good because, you do kind of get that vibe that Elon Musk just kind of says what people tell him or says what he hears and that he's not actually as smart as he likes to think he is.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk is just painfully average intelligence, but extremely rich.
Right. So people forget about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is, I guess fair enough. But he is starting to get on my nerves with all his Twitter bullshit. 4,000 characters is too much, people. All right. Any other spoiler-heavy discussion materials, Patrick, that stood out to you during the film?
I really liked the way they set up the scene with Bautista when he was like watching his girlfriend through the window with Edward Norton. Like they make it seem like, oh, he's really pissed off that they're about to have an affair or whatever.
Right.
And later on, they're like, no, he's actually coercing her into having sex with Edward Norton to get what he wants.
Oh, that's right. He was watching to make sure it happened.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's so gross, dude. Like, what?
Right, yeah, so that's the thing I was hinting at in the non-spoiler, is that everyone in this movie is just a shitty person.
Yeah, they're terrible.
They want something from Miles Braun and his wealth, which means they're willing to forgive the fact that he's screwing over Janelle Monáe's character and that he's, just not a good guy in general. Because he's wealthy, they're willing to put up with his shit, which makes them even say, no, we're not going to testify in court that this guy stole an idea from another one of their best friends, because if that happens, they don't get his money. So I hated everyone in a different way than I hated everyone in the first one. That was my issue. The first one, they were horrible people, but I found them endearing, oddly enough. This one, I didn't care for them at all. I was like, you bunch of just assholes.
The ironic thing is, though, if they all backed up Janelle Monáe's character in court, then she would have provided for them too. It's not like the money,
right? Because the company would have went to her,
exactly, and she'd been like, "Oh, thank you for having my back. Here's your reward," and they would still be friends with her.
Right?
So it's like if you just had the balls to back her up, then you would have been good.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the ending of the movie, it's pretty much suggested that they're only going to testify against him because everyone's going to find out that his house exploded and he ruined the Mona Lisa and his company's going to go into shambles. So they're like, well, I guess we might as well just back you now.
I took it as they wanted to do it out of spite because the newest company was going to go down, and they're like, well, we have nothing to gain from this, so just fuck you.
Exactly. I didn't find that to be noble. It's like, of course you would do that now that you know you're not going to get any of his money anymore because it's going to go away. He just destroyed a priceless piece of art.
It was satisfying, though. Wouldn't all of them like go to jail for lying under oath?
Well, one would think. Who knows? I don't watch Law and Order. I don't know how any of that works. But, oh yeah, speaking of the Mona Lisa, because Taylor and I were talking about this, did you know this? Because I looked it up. I was like, everyone just says it's a priceless piece of art. And I looked it up, what it would roughly be estimated being worth if it were like to be sold. Take a guess.
100 million.
Oh, no. 800 million.
800 million?
Yeah, I thought that sounded low.
Low?
Yeah, I thought that it would be higher than that.
Isn't it like 6 inches?
Yeah, but it's the single most famous piece of art ever created.
This is my hot take. I think it's very overrated.
Well, of course it is. It's just a picture of a woman staring
I really don't
at nothing.
Understand
but
what the big deal is about that painting. Like, there are so many paintings that are like more significant historically. I just don't get it. Like, everyone's just captivated by this weird, uncomfortable looking lady.
Yeah, I think it's just good. Well, A, it's Da Vinci. B, I'm pretty sure he said it's the best thing he ever made. And C,
oh, did he say that?
I'm pretty sure. And then C, there's like a mystery behind it in itself. Like, who is this woman? What is she looking at? Is she happy? Is she sad? So I just thought, since it's priceless. That's what people say. 800 million. I mean, Avatar made that in 2 weeks.
And they could say it's worth 800 million, but they would never sell it for any amount of money ever. So it is priceless. I mean, like, even if someone offered France $100 billion, they're still not going to sell it.
Well, no. And they certainly wouldn't give it to a CEO of a company to house in his mansion for
as a loan.
A loan. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to suspend disbelief for that. So, all right. I think that's going to do it for the spoiler section. So we're going to take one more quick break. We're going to be back. We're going to count down our top 5 favorite murder mysteries, and we'll catch you all here in a couple minutes. We don't have ads, So it won't be a couple minutes, more like a couple seconds. We'll see you in a couple seconds. All right, we are back for our third and final part of today's episode. Again, on Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. We are going to count down our top 5 favorite murder mystery movies. This is, of course, our normal format that you can get used to from here on out on a weekly basis. A countdown of a list of films that are in some way related to the topic of the film we're reviewing that week. So since obviously Glass Onion is a murder mystery, we're going to count down the top 5 murder mysteries. Spoiler alert, Glass Onion did not fit into mine.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, wow, really? Okay. All right, so, Patrick, take it away.
So my list is a little unconventional. I don't have a whole lot of classical murder mystery movies in mind, but the first one I have is Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day?
Yep. It's a murder mystery about a college-age woman who gets killed was it at a party or something? She gets killed on campus. Then she wakes up the same morning. It's like Groundhog Day mixed with a murder mystery, and she has to figure out who murdered her.
Yeah, who keeps killing her?
Yeah.
Because it's the same, yeah, with that, it's like the baby mask.
Yeah, creepy-ass baby face guy is killing her. And, no, it's sick. It's really good. Has 50 cents into club. Is the trailer music? I don't know. It's
isn't that her like alarm tone?
Yeah. It's like constantly playing.
Because it was her birthday.
Yeah.
I see what they're doing. Yeah, I remember seeing that in the theater. I didn't think it was going to be a comedy, like a dark comedy.
It was like satire kind of deal.
Yeah, but it was oddly funny. And then, did you ever see the sequel?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was good too.
The sequel, I think, doubled down on the comedy. I thought it got a little too silly, and it got like sci-fi
a little wacky
as well. Like they brought in like portals and stuff, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I do like that first one. I guess I didn't even think about that being a murder mystery, but it is like, who keeps killing me?
Yeah, it's like solving your own murder mystery. I thought that was a cool concept.
That is creative. Who made that one? Blumhouse?
I have no idea.
That was an A24, was it?
I have no idea.
That seems too silly to be A24.
I streamed it. That's all I remember.
I'm pretty sure it was Blumhouse. Yeah, they haven't had a hit in a while. Well, no, they just made Megan. Actually, Megan's a huge hit.
Really?
Whether or not you like it, made a lot of money. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Oh, creepy dolls creep me out.
All right. Well, then you should see it. My number 5 on my list of murder mysteries, Zodiac. If we have similar ones, that's fine. That's part of the fun. Zodiac, I believe a 2007 film directed by David Fincher, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr. It is unique in the fact, obviously, that we do not get resolution, obviously.
Still don't know who did it.
No. So
they kind of do, though. It's like they're like 95% sure who did it, but the dude like died of a heart attack. So I guess I'll never know for sure. But
yeah, I think the movie tackles that. It tells you that in like the end, like the as when you're watching like biopics and
spoiler
based on
it's
true
the
story.
Creepy guy with dead animal carcasses in his trailer.
Right, but they did the thing like they do where words just tells you things at the end on the screen.
Yeah.
Because I think the last scene is a guy identifying the killer in jail, and it's like, guy died before we could actually question him, and you're just left feeling hopeless and like, oh damn, that was why did I just watch this for 2.5 hours? But I'll tell you why you watch for 2.5 hours. Because even though he doesn't get caught, it's still an extremely compelling movie. It's based on the book that Robert Graysmith wrote, the newspaper reporter who was obsessed with the case, the one that Jake Gyllenhaal plays. And there's some extremely tense scenes, because if you don't know much about the story, there's still a ton of surprises to happen, things you never knew happened. And even if they were exaggerated a little bit, they were effective enough in the movie for you to kind of say, I don't care if it was real. It was well done. Like that, there's a basement scene where Gyllenhaal goes into a basement and you feel like he's going to be locked in by this creepy old man who he went to the house to question and stuff like that. really effective stuff. I love Zodiac. I feel like it gets kind of forgotten in Fincher's filmography. You know, people,
Was it a
Fight.
Fincher film?
Yeah, so
No
people
way.
just talk about like Fight Club and Social Network. But no, Zodiac is excellent. And if you haven't seen it because you think, oh, I know how it's going to end, you should still check it out. I think it's a good ride. I have a feeling you have more to say, and you'll get to say it shortly. All right, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Zodiac.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So
Well,
that works out pretty well.
Take it away.
Yeah, I saw the movie. I think it was probably about 10 years ago now. It was the movie came out in like the early 2000s, or was it the 90s?
I think 2007.
2007. Okay. Yeah, I remember watching it and thinking, "Wow, this is a crazy story. Surely this isn't very accurate." But then when you look up the Wikipedia page and read all the facts, it was unfortunately very accurate. Like the way people were killed and stabbed and stuff was pretty messed up. I thought it was wild how there was a couple in real life that solved a crossword puzzle. No, it was the they like to solve crossword puzzles for fun, but they solved one of his ciphers because Zodiac was really like cocky and he sent out ciphers to like the media, and they solved it, and he sent out ciphers after that, and no one has ever solved them since. And we think that he was just a giant dick and sent out bad puzzles that you couldn't solve.
Right, that had no solution.
That had no solution.
Yeah.
Just to be a dick.
Right. And that's why Graysmith got so obsessed with him, is because he was sending them to their newspaper. And I'm pretty sure they were just publishing his ciphers in the paper and things like that.
Please solve this.
Somebody help. Yeah. No, it is. It's some of the kills and the violence is shockingly realistic.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Like he put on like, I think it was like a burlap sack or like a paper bag or something. And he just went to a park and just started stabbing this couple. Like he would just go up to random couples. It was really weird.
Right. Yeah, like there's one scene with a couple just out on a picnic on top of a hill and during the broad daylight.
Like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah, he just walks on up there and kills them out of nowhere. I mean, it takes you by surprise because you're like, surely that's not the actual killer, right? Because you see him on screen. So someone's playing him, but he, of course, has had like a mask on and things like that. I'm trying to remember. There's the very first scene of the movie is a murder of, like the Lover's Lane murder in the car. I'm trying to remember. It's a famous actor that plays the character. Oh yeah, that's right. It's Lee Norris, Minkus from Boy Meets World.
That was Minkus?
Yeah, the little dorky kid with the glasses in the first season of Boy Meets World.
I can't remember.
He gets killed by the Zodiac killer.
Did they both get killed, or did someone survive there?
Someone survives because that's who identifies him at the end. I don't think it was Minkus. I think it was one of the other ones. Maybe the one on top of the hill there.
Poor Minkus.
Yeah, had a chance. But that took me by surprise. I was like, what is this guy doing here? He's in a David Fincher movie? And then, of course, for all you One Tree Hill fans, Taylor will tell you as well. He's also in One Tree Hill.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You watched that? Oh, you did watch that.
Yeah, we sat through that whole damn thing. It got bad after a while.
Yeah.
It was a guilty pleasure, though.
Taylor loves that show. All right, my number 4, The Hateful Eight.
I don't even remember that as being a murder mystery, which is I remember it being a Western in a room, but I don't remember much beyond that.
Yeah, so it is a Quentin Tarantino film from, I want to say, 2018. It is very much a movie that's meant to be, or you can tell he originally wrote it as a play, all in one room, kind of a very small set of characters, 8 to be precise, and it's basically someone winds up dead a shockingly long way through the movie, because of course it's 3 hours, and the second half of the movie is basically figuring out, what's going on, who can you trust, who poisoned the coffee, and by the end, I feel like it wraps up in a nice, very satisfying festival of gore and one-liners that only Tarantino can write, and I had a great time with it. I thought all the characters were fun. They had, personality. They were well written, and I thought it did a good job of, you really don't know who you can trust. And even by the end of the movie, you still don't know who you can trust. So if that kind of thing bothers you, you might not like this movie very much. But I enjoy that. I like flawed characters. I don't like perfect characters who have no problems. So, Hateful Eight, I had a great time. It's got a great cast. Sam Jackson, Kurt Russell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tim Roth, all those Tarantino regulars. I feel like it gets forgotten about in the Tarantino filmography, though. Kind of like Zodiac. What?
Is the German guy in that? Christoph Waltz?
Christoph is not in that one, no. No. Just in Django and in Inglourious Bastards, I think, so far.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, if you haven't seen it, they also did I don't know why they did this. It's like an extended version on Netflix, but it's broken up into episodes. So the movie is very episodic, again, with the play structure, kind of like a play in 3 acts. But the Netflix version, literally made it episodes. It's not a movie. They made it into a miniseries. I haven't watched that. But if you really like it, and you check out the miniseries, let me know what's different. Maybe I'll have to watch it someday.
Nice.
What do you think about that? I know you've seen it.
I have not.
You've never seen the movie?
The Hateful Eight?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I got confused for a second. No, I remember it being good. I just don't remember too many details about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I almost just remember it being a Western in a single room and someone's head gets blown off.
Yes, that does happen.
That's all I remember about it, which is weird because it's such a good movie. And I remember it being really good. I just don't remember a whole lot about it.
Yeah, it is there is a lot of gore. A lot of gore. But you got to expect that with Tarantino at this point. I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there was a shocking lack of it until the last 5 minutes.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Then there's plenty. So, anyway, Hateful Eight, check it out, especially if you're a Tarantino fan. I am a Tarantino guy. He's my favorite living director. So, I'm always probably going to recommend stuff by him, so get used to that. All right, Patrick, number 3.
Sticking with the theme of numbers, I'm going to say 7.
7.
Starring Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. What's in the box? It's
and iconic. No one else.
And no one else. It has Kevin Spacey, but...
No, that was the no one else, Patrick.
Yeah, we don't like talking about Kevin Spacey. It's a crazy murder mystery. I remember watching it with my parents from Netflix back when they sent DVDs in the mail. And I remember being like, wow, this is incredibly fucked up to watch with my parents. And I think I was 14 at the time. That's a good movie. The whole time it goes through, is it the 7 Deadly Sins?
Yep.
There's a killer, Kevin Spacey, going around killing everybody in the most fucked up ways possible. There's this really fat guy, and Kevin Spacey kills him by making him eat until his stomach explodes. Stuff like that. And how do you kill the, was it a prostitute?
Oh, yeah. Doesn't he disfigure her face a bunch until she's unrecognizable
crazy.
So that she can't sell her body and her looks anymore?
I don't know. Crazy stuff like that. And in the end, he gets himself killed by wrath.
Right.
Anything more than that.
Brad Pitt's character.
Yeah. He just shoots him in the head.
Right.
But
yeah.
Excellent movie. Huge fan. What do you think about it?
Oh, no, I love it. I didn't want to put 2 Fincher movies on my list. That's why I don't have it on there. I had to choose for myself between 7 and Zodiac, and I had an inkling you would have 7 anyway, so I figured we would get a chance to talk about it regardless. So I left it off for those reasons. But no, I love that movie. I think it's great. One scene in particular stuck with me for a while where people are, investigators are in the house of the guy killed by sloth, and he's tied up to the bed and was basically given the most minimum amount of water and food possible to guarantee he wouldn't die for X amount of time. And they think okay, he's kicked the bucket. And so they get close to him and all of a sudden he gasps and it's like a skeleton literally gasping, but it looks so real. And it really stuck with me. It kind of bugged me a little bit. Not in a bad way, in an effective way. But
I think the trauma made me forget about that part because I don't remember that at all.
Oh, it's no, not fun. Yeah, and then the one you were talking about, a guy eating until his stomach explodes. I'm pretty sure they talk too, like it wasn't going quick enough, so he kicks him in the stomach to make it explode.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So there's some really effective kills in there. I mean, again, another Fincher. I don't think Fincher writes his films, so whoever wrote that, I hope you're doing okay, because that was a little.
I hope you have props.
Yeah. So, all right, my number 3. Now this one's a little unconventional. If you want to argue that it's not technically a murder mystery, I guess I can get why, because you're not exactly sure if there was a murder.
We're gonna have another one that's the same,
and that's what we're trying to figure out. Rear Window.
Okay,
no. Rear Window is my number 3. 1954, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, starring Jimmy Stewart.
This is one I have not seen.
Oh, it's great. I won't say too much then, because you should go watch it. But basically, L.B. Jeffries is his name. He is a photographer who is injured on the job and is basically just sitting at his window in his apartment all day with his broken leg propped up and just kind of snooping around, seeing what's going on in the neighborhood. And he starts noticing that his neighbor across the street, whose name is escaping me. It's like Thromby or something. No, that's Thromby's is Knives Out. It's something with a T. But anyway, he starts noticing kind of funny behavior. He hears a scream one night, and then after hearing that scream, he notices things are just kind of a little bizarre across the way. Like he hasn't seen the wife. The husband is like taking things out of the apartment at night, and you're not exactly sure what the things are. And by the end, you get kind of like a full explanation of what he was doing. But the whole time you're wondering, like, is there even anything that's happening here? Or is it just a guy bored enough to the point where he's trying to find something in anything?
That must have inspired a ton of movies. Because, like, that sounds a lot like, is it Suspiria or Disturbia? Disturbia. Sounds like that. Sounds like, gosh, a ton. There was a movie that came out in the past few years. It was, I don't remember who starred in it. It was about a lady who was, like, going crazy. And there's a question of, like, whether or not she's actually crazy or she witnessed a murder.
Oh, you're talking about The Woman in the Window?
Yeah.
With Amy Adams on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah. Disturbia, when that came out, people were calling it like a good remake or a good ripoff of Rear Window. Yeah. And then there was an actual remake of it with Superman. What is that? Christopher Reeve. Because he actually is, he was paralyzed. So they used that as the reason, why he is just kind of sitting in the apartment watching people. It's because he can't get around that way. It wasn't an offensive remake. It was fine. It's not like the Psycho remake that they did with Vince Vaughn, but it's not as good. Jimmy Stewart is one of my favorite old-timey actors. I know you don't like his voice, but
I'm Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, I love his voice. And then Grace Kelly's in it too, who was like the star of the 50s and was in everything. She's gorgeous and great actor as well. And so yeah, it's one of those movies. I feel like if you're a film fan and respect kind of like what got us where we are, especially if you're a fan of thrillers and suspense and things like that, it's one you got to check out. It's excellent. And I believe it's on HBO Max if you have that. All right. What's your number 2?
Mine is Gone Girl. I thought for sure you were about to say Gone Girl. I was about to be really pissed.
It's not on my list. You're a Fincher guy, it seems.
Is that a Fincher movie too?
You got 3 Finchers.
What in the world? No, I thought Gone Girl was so cool because the whole beginning of the movie, it makes it out like, oh, this lady's missing, she's dead, basically, and it's pointing towards Ben Affleck as being the murderer.
Right.
And then halfway through, your balls travel up into your abdomen when you realize that she is actually just really spiteful and she framed her own death. It's like every guy's worst fear. I remember leaving the theater and every guy in there that was with their significant other was like, bro, what the fuck? I don't want that shit to happen to me.
Yeah.
But it was excellent. It was really, what was it, Rosamund Pike?
Rosamund Pike, yep.
Rosamund Pike. Excellently acted. I thought it was really cool. We had a interesting character from Tyler Perry in there.
I forgot he was in that.
Role. He was playing a lawyer.
He was really good in it too.
Yeah, he was really good. Like he did a good job. I thought everyone just did an excellent job, and it was unraveling a murder, and it ended up not being a murder after all.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but there is a particular scene with Neil Patrick Harris.
Oh god, that was fucked up.
That was quite memorable. I don't think I'll ever be able to get that out of my brain, and I've only seen it the one time.
The bottle part before that was
my god. Yeah, there's a lot of just like towards the end there, you're like, surely it can't go further than that, and it does.
It goes further.
Yeah,
and the ending is probably the most bleak ending.
In
any movie I've seen. I won't spoil the ending, but it is very bleak.
It is bleak.
You'll walk away saying, "Wow, that was just absolutely fucking depressing." But it's really good.
It is really good. I don't know why. I mean, I saw it, and I didn't even really consider it for my list.
Well, no one actually gets murdered. Well,
no, it counts. It definitely counts. It's just like something about it. I saw it once when it came out, and I thought it was great. I bought it on Blu-ray. In fact, I can probably... Yep, there it is right there. And it's on my shelf and has never been watched.
Oh, man, that's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Maybe Taylor watched it, so maybe it has been watched.
I'm sure Taylor would love to watch it with you.
Probably. All right. My number 2 is why we're here. It is Knives Out. Knives Out is my number 2.
Shocker.
Is that your number 1?
That's my number 1.
All right, so...
Shocker.
Yeah, as we said previously, we don't have to talk about this one too much. It was one of my favorite movies the year it came out. I thought it was great. I show it in my film classes because, I try to do a unit on each different genre. And so when we get to, like suspense, mystery, stuff like that, I used this. And I also used it to kind of explain, like, in a way, kind of like dark comedy, because it's dealing with murder, but the movie's hilarious. There's a specific scene where Michael Shannon really wants Chris Evans to eat cookies. And I thought it was just hilarious.
I don't remember
After he's telling all the family to eat shit while he's eating those Biscoff cookies that he's got, and Michael Shannon comes up over to him and is like, "Have some more cookies, Hugh." It's a scene that sticks out to me for some reason as being really funny.
Was there shit in the cookies?
No, he was just like, "I hate you." He was just basically yelling at him.
Oh, gotcha.
You'll just have to go back and look at. But it's a really funny movie that I wasn't really expecting. The whole Nazi boy masturbating in the bathroom line that's going all over Twitter now. That
was the best.
Oh, it's hilarious. So, yeah, I thought it balanced that really well. I thought the twists were incredible and new, like I said in the spoiler section of the podcast. But no one had ever really written a murder mystery like that in that format and in that way of, like shifting back and forth in time and things like that, showing you stuff. And
it was classic, but it was also modern.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was what was so good about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it has one of the best endings of just like, man, pure poetry. The last shot of the movie, you're like, perfect.
Super satisfying.
Very satisfying. Mm-hmm. Especially since I thought Ana de Armas's character, Marta,
mm-hmm.
was a really great, audience character. Mm-hmm. She is like the surrogate audience, just kind of going through this roller coaster with us. And I thought she did a great job in that role. So it's nice to see, the payoff that occurs by the end with that character who we've been following and really like.
Likeable. And she's like the perfect character to root for.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I agree. You have anything else to say about that one? We kind of talked about it a lot.
No, I think we've covered that.
All right.
I'm curious what you think is possibly better than that, though.
Well, what's your number 1?
Knives Out.
Oh, that's right. All right. My number 1. This counts. And I don't want to hear anyone say it doesn't. But my number 1 is Scream.
What?
What?
How could you say Scream is better than Knives Out? What?
Scream is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time. It has my favorite horror character of all time.
It has Shaggy in it.
Sidney Prescott. She's the greatest final girl in horror of all time. I have her autograph right across from me in my basement here.
The poster's over.
And the Scream poster on the other side of the room. I love everything about this movie. It came out in 1996. It pretty much started like the new craze that happened in horror for the years that came after, of kind of like mocking itself, spoofy horror that's still actual horror, kind of like, I Know What You Did Last Summer and things like that. It was kind of like this
Self-aware.
Huh?
Self-aware.
Right. It was kind of like a new hip self-aware style of horror that was basically taken over eventually by torture porn in the 2000s with Saw and Hostel and things like that. And then, of course, it went to found footage and yada, yada, yada. But Scream, I love the characters. Dewey is one of the most likable, characters in all of horror as well. David Arquette. You have Courtney Cox in there as Gale Weathers, who is not as likable, but still a fun character. And I think that it set the stage for what I still consider to be the best horror franchise ever in terms of quality. The first movie's phenomenal. The second one's pretty good. The third one's pretty good. The fourth one is surprisingly great. And then the fifth one I thought was really good.
I've only seen 1 and 4.
Oh, well, it's been consistently good, which is not something you can say for Halloween and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Any slasher film.
Or any slasher franchise except Scream.
Yep.
And the whole basic principle behind it of, who is the Ghostface killer and things like that. It could be anyone throughout the movie. They do a really good job of subverting expectations, of making you feel like, well, it can't be that person because they were just there. And by the end, making you realize, oh, that's what's going on. I see. And it was something that, I feel like now everyone probably knows, but I won't say it here in case you don't. But when I saw it for the first time, I just didn't see that coming. It's one of the biggest twists, and it's not even what you would like think of as kind of like a murder mystery. It's a slasher movie. So, considering the fact that it's my favorite horror franchise, it's one of my favorite movies. Horror is my favorite genre of movies. I figure, how could it not be one?
That's fair enough. My biggest memory of it is childhood. Like, every kid was Ghostface for Halloween. And, like, none of the kids had actually seen the movie. But it was just so popular.
Yep.
That everyone had that costume.
And everyone wanted the one, too, that had, like, the blood pump.
Oh, God, yeah. Those were gross. I had one of those, like, and it leaked. It was just gross.
Yeah, they made the food coloring go down, like, the front of the mask so it looked like there's blood all over it, which never even happens in any of the movies. The mask is always just white. Nothing ever gets on it. Ghostface is very neat. He even wipes the blood off his knife every time he stabs somebody.
Good, he should.
Yeah.
Take care of it.
And that's another thing that made the movie so good. That first scene is one of the most famous scenes in all of film, I would argue. It completely subverts expectations. The movie was advertised as that Drew Barrymore was going to be the star of the film.
I didn't know that.
And no one knew that she was going to get killed off in the first 10 minutes. So, I mean, right off the bat, the movie's creating like tension, mystery, and then a huge twist that no one saw coming because Drew Barrymore was a huge star at that point. So she was like riding high. No one knew who Neve Campbell was. And so everyone assumed, oh, well, Drew Barrymore is our final girl. Nope. And I think it was all the better for it because, like I said, Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, the best character in horror, in my opinion. She's tough. She fights back. She's, someone that you can root for, and it's not just like a damsel in distress who lays there and waits to be stabbed and killed. She'll punch Ghostface. She'll throw things at Ghostface. She's tough. And I'm super upset that she's not coming back for this new one. So
that's upsetting.
It is. It makes me not want to see it. But, all right. That is our lists of the top 5 murder mystery movies. I almost said slasher because we just ended with Scream. It counts. You don't know who Ghostface is. Okay? It counts.
It is a mystery.
Thank you.
That.
Thank you. All right. Well, I think that about wraps things up for our not inaugural episode, but our first in this format that's going to stick around. I think it went well.
I think so too.
Good. All right, Patrick. I'm going to ask the thing that people ask on podcasts all the time, but I feel like you're going to say nothing. Where can the people find you?
On nothing. I'm not on the internet.
You really aren't, though.
No,
that's the thing. You don't have social media. You kind of said, I'm done with that.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah. So I guess I'm not really on anything either. You can find me at the Plotheads Twitter feed if I decide to make that. That might be a good idea.
I think we should make a Twitter. Maybe upload to YouTube to get feedback.
Possible. All right. But, if we make one of those, we'll let you all know. Until next time, though, I think that's it. I am Tyler.
I am Patrick.
Theme music, Aerosol of My Love by Brian McLeod. And this is the Plotheads podcast. Y'all take it easy.